I'm John White in the News Channel 3 newsroom. Coming up next, passengers now speaking out after arriving on land about the nightmare cruise that left them stranded for days without power. What they say happened aboard that crippled cruise ship, the Triumph. Coming up next. Hello, I'm John White.
And I'm Karen Devine. It's 11 o'clock, time for news.
You're watching KESQ, the desert's news leader, live in high definition. This is News Channel 3 at 11.
Right now, thousands of passengers are still disembarking the Triumph cruise ship in Alabama after being stuck at sea for days without power.
The plumbing obviously was probably the biggest issue, and the smell.
Brings a whole new meaning to the term poop deck.
After being on that boat for that long and not knowing when or how we were getting back, it was just so good to finally be back.
The first passenger started to walk off the ship less than 3 hours ago, and the process still continues right now. It's taking hours to get everyone off the cruise liner that was abandoned in the, not abandoned, but stalled out in the Gulf of Mexico after an engine room fire 4 days ago. Marcy Gonzalez is in Mobile, Alabama, reporting live with the latest.
Good evening. The ship pulled into the dock here about 4 hours ago, and still passengers are disembarking, cheering that their nightmare on board is finally over. The last miles were the longest as passengers on the Carnival Triumph sweated out their final minutes aboard the luxury liner that became a squalid prison ship.
I'm not angry, I'm just so happy to be home, really.
The Triumph left port 8 days ago with more than 4,000 people aboard. But an engine room fire Sunday left the mammoth vessel a helpless giant, marooned in the Gulf of Mexico with no power, sewage seeping down walls, and scarce rations. For passengers, it was a nightmare.
Sewer kept backing up, and there would be 6 inches of it all over the ship in the dining area where we had to eat.
Carpeting in the hallways soaked in urine. The heat and stench forced passengers topside, where they put up a kind of shanty town, living in the open and sleeping on deck. One sick passenger was medevaced to safety.
A few little medical emergencies, and I hope and pray that they're okay.
Once at port, the passengers' ordeal still isn't over. Buses carried weary travelers on the next leg of their long trip home. Passengers will be reimbursed, offered a free cruise and $500.
I know it was very difficult, and I want to apologize again for subjecting our guests to that.
And those not taking the buses provided by Carnival are finding their own way home, saying they are too desperate for hot food and a hot shower to wait. We're live in Mobile, Alabama. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News. Now back to you.
Okay, thank you, Marcy.
The speculation over tonight, the human remains found in the burnt-out cabin near Big Bear are that of former LAPD officer and accused killer Christopher Dorner. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department says they identified Dorner from dental records. There are still questions tonight about the cabin fire that happened at the end of the Dorner standoff on Tuesday. The Sheriff's Department denies deputies deliberately set the fire, but audio recordings taken from police scanners seem to contradict that, leaving some people to question police tactics.
Scene, if you see a colleague that's fallen, we hire from the human race, and emotions will rise because maybe someone that have never seen a comrade in arms or a fellow officer killed in front of their eyes, and it's going to be an emotional toll.
Meantime, Dorner's story continues to be a hot topic on the web and on social media. There's even a video game titled Christopher Dorner's Last Stand Survival Game. It arms the player with a handgun to shoot out from the wooden cabin in snowy terrain.
Family and friends are mourning the death of a 15-year San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department veteran killed in a shootout on Tuesday with Christopher Dorner. 35-year-old Jeremiah McKay was pronounced dead after being airlifted to Loma Linda University Medical Center. McKay attended Rim of the World High School in Lake Arrowhead. He graduated in 1995 and was involved in several sports and other activities there. Students at his former school expressed their condolences today. McKay leaves behind his wife, a 6-year-old stepdaughter, and a 4-month-old son. Funeral arrangements have not yet been announced.
Time again for Palm Springs' annual and very successful Modernism Week. Tonight kicks off 11 days of more than 100 events celebrating the unique mid-century architecture of our valley. News Channel 3's Laura Yanez is live in our live mobile newsroom with a look at some of the events taking place the next week and a half. Laura?
Good evening, John and Karen. Now, Modernism Week is in its 8th year, and it's attracting modern enthusiasts from around the world. Now, that foot traffic is definitely making some Valley business owners very happy.
It's great for me as a business. It's a busy, busy time.
Patty Hanley is the owner of Palm Springs Walking Tours. She says the event she's been waiting all year for is finally here.
Every single day I mention Modernism Week.
That's right, kicking off Thursday at Burba in Palm Springs, an 11-day celebration of modern design, architecture, and culture in the city.
We have the greatest collection of mid-century modern architecture probably in the world.
Good reason why organizers are bracing themselves for quite the crowd.
Well, last year was 35,000, and we're expecting probably 45 to 50,000.
That's vibrant news for Hanley. She plans to pound the pavement, walking dozens of miles throughout the week with more than 25 visitors a day. The clean lines and elegance bringing good fortune to the local economy.
The hotels have all been busy. I've been stopping by a lot of them, and I know the restaurants are busy, so it's wonderful for all of Palm Springs.
The week includes a variety of festivities, bus tours, films, lectures, and educational events.
So the more I learn about the architects, the more information I can give back to all the folks who take my tours.
The Mecca of modernism and sunshine brings those folks back for more.
They see that modern architecture with the background of the mountains, with the environment, and then they get it. You know, they say, this is, Southern California living.
This year's theme, Illuminated Modern, meaning for the next week and a half, 10 designated mid-century design buildings, including the one behind me, will be lit up with orange and blue lights. That's the Modernism slogan and the colors as well. Now, this is the Palm Springs Art Museum Architecture and Design Building. It's one of many on the North Palm Canyon and South Palm Canyon region where people can come and get historical facts regarding the architecture and find a little bit more about the architects and the styles of the buildings. Now, for more information on how you can get tickets and for an entire list of all the fun events going on during Modernism Week, you can go to modernismweek.com. We'll have that on our website, kesq.com. Reporting live in Palm Springs, Laura Yanez, News Channel 3. Karen and John.
Well, I'm sure we'll be covering a lot of the events happening in the next week and a half. Thank you, Laura.
People in town for Modernism Week are being treated to some fabulous weather. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Ginger Jeffries is tracking your conditions. Ginger, we're hoping to keep this going for the weekend.
Exactly what I have in the forecast for you. Temperatures are above the rim and holding. Why change it? We've got perfection going on right now. 80 degrees, your official high from today. We should be closer to 72. No complaints from my end, though. Notice your overnight lows in the upper 40s. Now with high pressure will come another lovely day for the desert. Sunny and warm through the weekend, but just how warm will it get this weekend? I'll answer that question coming up in just a couple of minutes. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Ginger.
Now, 2 months after Sandy Hook, the debate over school security continues all over the country and right here at home.
The training is what saves lives.
News Channel 3. Next on News Channel 3, how one local school district is preparing for the worst just in case. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
Lawmakers and school administrators all over the country are talking about ways to keep our kids safe in the wake of the shooting rampage in Newtown, Connecticut now 2 months ago. Some argue for more gun control. Others say we should arm teachers.
One Coachella Valley School District says more weapons, not the solution. As News Channel 3's Megan Terlecki reports, the Desert Sands Unified School District says training and communication with students is the answer.
I saw some of the bullets going past the hall that I was right next to.
It's a scenario that's played out all too many times in our country.
They have established a very, very tight perimeter around the school.
A gunman invades a sanctuary of a school, rendering all of us helpless and asking what could we have done.
It sounded like heavy shots, as in a long rifle or some kind of an automatic weapon.
At the Desert Sands Unified School District, Director of Security Jeff Kay asks that question every day.
The active shooter situation probably isn't going to happen, but if we train for it and we're ready for it, it'll save lives.
What we know is the shooting stops quickly after police arrive.
In 88% of the active shooter situations in schools throughout the country, The shooters killed himself as soon as the cops got there because they don't want to confront the police. That's their moment of glory is ruined when the police show up.
Kesq says it's about a 10-minute window when the shooting starts and police arrive. Just 10 minutes from safety or tragedy. That's what Kesq focuses his school drills around.
We have to lock down the kids and keep them safe, or we have to evacuate them, or we have to do something to keep them safe till the police get there.
That's something Kesq calls enhanced lockdown.
Barricade the door. Do something. Make your door harder to get through. Move the kids. If there's glass or windows in a classroom, find a safe room. You know, just do something innovative. Use your imagination to keep the kids safer.
During Virginia Tech, bracing the door saved some students' lives.
He was shooting through the door, but they were laying on the floor, bracing the door with their hands and feet. And the gunman gave up trying to get in. Went to another classroom, shot the lock off, and went in and unfortunately killed the people who were in that room.
Kesq says the district's training program is made up what law enforcement has learned from other school shootings, including a shooting in Reno, Nevada, where he responded as a police officer.
It's like we changed our response to airline hijackers after 9/11. There comes a point in time when you have to fight back.
Some people believe that should include bringing guns on campus.
We have a moral obligation that the next Vicky Soto, who is faced with inexplicable evil, that she not be left defenseless.
A bill introduced in California would allow teachers to carry a gun.
Very comforting to know that my children have one extra step of protection, especially in the schools.
But the district's teachers worry it could spell disaster.
When you've got students around, who's to say you're not going to accidentally hit a student?
Kesq says there's some truth to that.
As a firearms instructor, I see when you put a little bit of stress on somebody at the range, their shot ratio, their hit ratio, accuracy ratio goes to 5%. So that's not good in a crowded classroom or a crowded school. So the initial reaction has to be take care of the kids, save the kids, get them out of harm's way.
However, in trained hands like a school resource officer, Kesq says it could help save lives, but it comes at a cost.
To put a police officer in every school, like some people suggest, would be about $5.4 million a year.
One preventative measure that doesn't cost the district too much money is this website, PSST World. Desert Sands is one of the first in the country to use it. It allows students to report suspicious activity they see anonymously. With a click of a mouse, security is notified right away.
Every time there's a school shooting, somebody knew about it. Somebody knew this kid was acting funny. Somebody knew this kid was acting a little strange.
Students we talked with say they'd use it.
I would actually strongly agree with that one. That one's like, yeah, I would be on that site if I ever needed that.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea, just in case. So if you're scared to give information, that way you could go ahead and do it anonymously so nobody knows.
Kay admits there isn't one simple solution to stopping these violent acts, but will do as much as he can with the funding he's got.
Let's train for the worst and hope for the best.
Megan Terlecki, News Channel 3, La Quinta.
Now, Desert Sands is one of the few districts in the country with an extensive training program like this one, and that's because they got a federal grant for it in 2010. Unfortunately for other districts, that money is no longer available.
Wow, well, good story there. Beautiful conditions for Valentine's Day here in the Valley.
Ginger's up next on News Channel 3 with your full First Alert forecast. Ginger, still getting cool at night, but oh, gorgeous during the day.
Yes, no doubt about that. We can't quite shake those overnight conditions, at least not yet. But 62 degrees at 11:15 at night, not too shabby. Pressure is up, so that's a good sign for your daytime highs. Winds are out of the west right now at 6 miles an hour, so that we're starting to bring a hint of moisture that may cause some fog in the morning. But the moral of the weather story is temperatures are rising this weekend. Details coming up after the break. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
Now, First Alert weather with Ginger Jeffries.
Satellite picture shows we definitely have some activity in the northwest, but it's not even approaching us. There is a little bit of inference just south of the jet stream, so this is subtropical in nature, meaning it may lift up some clouds into our neck of the woods, but it's not going to be producing any kind of weather conditions at best. like I said, we'll get a little bit of cloud base in the early part of next week. Otherwise, the marine layer really getting kicked off the coastline courtesy of the offshore push. So we're going to share our desert's finest with areas west of the Coachella Valley. Look for the winds to be up and the temperatures to be going up west of the valley as well. Right now, our winds are under 10 miles an hour. Earlier, we were seeing some winds generating for the Inland Empire area. Banning and Beaumont, we're seeing 25-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and that's really going to be the screenplay tomorrow. Not much wind overhead, but remember, this starts in the high desert and then pushes west of the valley. So we're starting to see around the noon hour some stronger winds develop, and then it's going to collapse. So not a monster wind event. It's not like cold air coming in at the base of the atmosphere. In fact, even though we've got some 25-mile-an-hour winds through the pass, doesn't look like anything over about 9 to 11 miles an hour for the low desert. North India, you'll see a little bit of wind tonight and tomorrow morning. Otherwise, next to the mountains, it doesn't even look like any wind shear. So pressure's tight enough to keep the skies nice and clear, and because this is high pressure, your numbers are going up. So enjoy 80 degrees tomorrow for your fabulous Friday. I've got low 30s along the coastline. With the offshore push will come numbers that are above the rim, even in central and northern California. San Luis Obispo going for 80 degrees. Why not keep the trend going? Through Saturday, daytime highs are in the low 80s. We may see the mid 80s by Saturday afternoon to the east end of the valley. And then it looks like things are going to break down as that subtropical moisture lifts in on Monday and Tuesday. Our temperatures are going to react, and that means a little bit of northwest wind Tuesday into Wednesday, causing temperatures to come down next week as well. So
come down to the 70s.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that then. I mean, for now, this looks like a fabulous weekend.
Don't you love it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we deserve it.
I was trying to throw a Valentine's Day reference in there. You just missed it.
Yeah, that was
the love it.
Happy Valentine's.
Thank you. You too.
Right now, Jimmy Kimmel with a preview of tonight's show coming up right after News Channel 3 at 11. 2 men are in jail tonight in connection with a burglary at a La Quinta cell phone store, and authorities think they may be involved in other burglaries around the Southland and in Arizona. Deputies stopped a van leaving a T-Mobile store on Highway 111 near Dune Palms around 2:20 in the morning. They arrested the driver, 24-year-old Eric Aguilar of Los Angeles, who they believe was waiting outside while 2 other men forced their way into that store through a neighboring business. Authorities later arrested one of them in the city of Eastvale. 44-year-old Michael Mixon of Corona and Aguilar were both booked into the county jail in Indio. A third man remains on the run. If you have any information about all this, call Valley Crime Stoppers at 760-341-STOP. You can remain anonymous and could be eligible for up to a $1,000 reward.
A Southland teacher is suing a Christian college for allegedly firing her because she engaged in premarital sex and became pregnant. Terry James says she was wrongfully terminated from San Diego Christian College in El Cajon. The 29-year-old financial aid specialist says she admitted to being pregnant to her HR supervisor and her supervisor. They allegedly gave her 2 options: quit or be fired. Her attorney, Gloria Allred, says she was not fired for being pregnant, but for having premarital sex.
We think they cannot do. First of all, this is really mainly going to have an adverse impact on women, because how would they know the couples are having premarital sex? How would they know a man's having premarital sex? The way they know a woman is having premarital sex is if she's not married and she's pregnant and she's showing.
James had her baby and married the father, but the college says employees and some students have to sign a clause stating they will not have premarital sex and will not engage in behavior inconsistent with Christian values. Coming up next on the Best Local Sports Show, the CIF playoff party makes a stop in Palm Desert.
Spencer Lynn will have your exclusive highlights from a first-round clash in Division III AA. Plus, the Lakers and Clippers have a Valentine's clash over at Staples Center. No love here between these 2 teams. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
Now, the Best Local Sports Show with Spencer Linton.
On this holiday, a bevy of local high school teams have dates with the CIF playoffs, and most probably wouldn't have it any other way. Maybe I'm speaking too much, but a very busy holiday for Desert Prep teams in 3 different sports. We'll begin with girls basketball. CIF first-round action between the Aztecs of Palm Desert and Yorba Linda in Division III AA. 4th quarter, Palm Desert trailing 34-18. The visitors about to increase that lead. Yorba Linda's size hurt the Aztecs all night. Look at that interior passing off the offensive rebound. Mustangs up 36-18. Aztecs fighting hard to the finish. Check out Caitlin Gilbert. Friendly banking hours in the Palm Desert area, but Palm Desert running out of time. Yorba Linda would add another jumper, and the Mustangs will advance to the second round. Final score 39-20. The Aztecs will only get better next year, and playoff experience will help future endeavors. On the playoff scoreboard in all three of those sports, we go to girls soccer. La Quinta, yes, this is soccer. They rout Napomo 9-0. The DVL champs came ready to play. Look for the Blackhawks to make a very deep run in that CIF bracket. And a trio of teams all in water polo. A good day for the Blackhawks. They advance with a win against Carpinteria at 12-8. Palm Springs taking on the #2 overall seed Pasadena Poly. They lose 15-2. And Pasadena living up to the billing. And Palm Desert hangs on against Santa Monica with a 6-5 win. Good luck to all those teams advancing on in their respective brackets. In Los Angeles, a rivalry clash on Valentine's night between the Lakers and the Clippers. Nice dunk from Kobe Bryant there, but the Clippers got off to a 15-0 lead early in the game, and the purple and gold never really recovered on their home floor. Well, technically it's their home floor, but let's be honest. Both these teams play in this building, and they're very comfortable shooting on those rims. Dwight Howard throwing down a dunk right there. Despite Bryant and Howard's best efforts, they could never recover after that slow start, and Blake Griffin and company only getting better with each game. Look at that move from the All-Star. The Clippers own this series. Final score 125-101. And get this, they've now taken all 3 games in the rivalry series with the Lakers this season. The PGA Tour still working on the West Coast. Round 1 today at Riviera Country Club in the Los Angeles area. That's Matt Kuchar. Mr. Consistency is his nickname. Knocks down that birdie on 16. That put him at 6 under par. Moments later, Kuchar would chip onto the green, and look at the friendly roll. On a string, bring it on back. That would set up another easy birdie attempt for Kuchar, and yeah, he's not going to miss this. Moves to 7 under par. He's atop the leaderboard. How about James Hahn, a guy who made a nice early push at the Humana Challenge in La Quinta just a few weeks ago. Knocks in that lengthy birdie putt on the 9th hole. He would move to 4 under, and that's exactly where he would finish, tied for 3rd best. We will follow that tournament and keep you updated as the weekend progresses. One more golf note. Going back to the Humana Challenge, the champion Brian Gay named the PGA Player of the Month for January. He followed up that tournament in La Quinta with some solid performances as the month progressed. Congratulations to Brian. And finally, hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day. Stay with us to wrap things up. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.